Happy Wednesday, everybody. Dr. Peter Glidden here with you live on this, the 5th day of December 2012. That means we have, what, 18, 19, 20, 21, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 17 days until the end of the world. Gotta love it. Gotta love the end of the world. Just think, no more income tax. Hey, listen, it's time for a reality check here on Fire Your MD Now. Now, I'm about to tell you some information, not in an attempt to generate pity, not in an attempt to even generate support. I'm going to tell you what's going on right now in the great state of Illinois to bring to light the egregious, unbelievably archaic and outdated laws around practicing medicine that exist here in the United States. So here's the deal. I live in the state of Illinois, and I am a graduate of a naturopathic medical school, a fully accredited medical school, accredited by the United States Department of Education, and when you go to this medical school, you can get student loans from the government. It's a fully accredited medical school in Seattle, Washington, Bastyr University. I received my doctoral degree in naturopathic medicine from that remarkable institution in 1991, and I have been practicing naturopathic medicine since, and have been licensed since 1992 to practice naturopathic medicine. Now, the rub here is that naturopathic medicine is only licensed and regulated in 17 states right now, plus Puerto Rico. 17 states plus Puerto Rico. So this means if someone with a doctoral degree in naturopathic medicine lives in a state that does not license nor regulate the practice of naturopathic medicine, they are prohibited from even talking to people about what they can do health-wise. And this is where it gets somewhat ridiculous. So the Medical Practice Act of 1987 in the state of Illinois says that unless you are an MD, you cannot use the term doctor in a business. So if I have a business in the state of Illinois doing whatever I want, and I'm a licensed naturopathic physician in the state of Washington, I've graduated from a fully accredited naturopathic medical school, I can't call myself a doctor. And that's actually what the law says, and we're fighting them now in court. The state of Illinois has sued me for $5,000 because, according to them, I have been practicing medicine without a license. Why have I been doing this? Because I use the term doctor on my website. Now, and I've had long conversations with the people at the Department of Professional Regulation, and as far as they're concerned, I cannot give counsel to anybody about anything that they can do related to anything that might impact their health whatsoever, or that's practicing medicine without a license. And so my argument was, well, what about personal trainers? What about health food store owners? What about Kellogg's, who says, eat Cheerios because it promotes a healthy heart? Isn't that practicing medicine without a license under the same parameters? What if a personal trainer tells somebody that they should go on the elliptical machine because it'll reduce their blood pressure and increase the health of their heart? What about that? Well, they can do that, but I can't. Why does such a ridiculous situation exist? Why is it possible for me in the state of Washington to deliver babies, perform minor surgery, prescribe drugs, order any diagnostic test I want, work in hospitals, legally call myself a physician, and have everything that I do covered by medical insurance? How is it possible for that to happen in 17 states in the United States, 16 states, it's either 16 or 17 plus Puerto Rico, and simply by crossing state lines, all of a sudden, all my education, all of my experiences has gone out the window? What is this similar to? It's similar to slavery. And this is the situation that we're in. And I've had conversations with the people at the Department of the Department of Public Relations or something, Health and, Professional Regulations, the Department of Professional Regulations here in Illinois. And as far as they're concerned, unless you're an MD, you can't call yourself a doctor, and you can't tell anybody to do anything about health. You can't. You just can't do it. Now, these people are completely embedded in the matrix, that the MD is the undisputed king of medicine. I want you to think about this from, let's step back and take a look at how this all developed historically. Who gave the MDs the right to say what's medicine and what's not? Who gave the MDs the right to say that this equals the practice of medicine and this does not? Who gave the MDs the right to call those shots? Who gave the MDs the right to define what constitutes the practice of medicine? I'll tell you who did: the pharmaceutical companies. That's who did it. But this structure has been in place for so long that people involved in politics, people involved in governments, unless you're in a progressive state like Washington or California, Oregon, Montana, Arizona, Connecticut, Maine or Vermont, and I can't remember the others. Unless you're a member of a progressive state, you actually believe, you have been hypnotized. State legislators and prosecuting attorneys have been hypnotized into the false belief that when it comes to medicine, the MD calls all the shots. The MD gets to define who it is that practices medicine, who can do what, when, where, and why. And it's just not right. It's just not right. Let me say it one more time for effect. It's just not right. But, what do you have to do to fight this? You have to have hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars at your disposal so that you can sue the bastards. That's what you need. But who has that? Hardly anybody has that. The MDs have that. So they have legislated themselves into top dog position, and they remain in top dog position because nobody has the financial wherewithal to fight them or to challenge them. They have cooked the books on their own behalf. They have stacked the courts on their own behalf. And they have convinced, relatively well-educated, well-intentioned legislators that when it comes to medicine, the only people to pay any attention to are the MDs. They get to define who practices medicine, what in fact is the practice of medicine, and so forth and so on, which is one of life's greatest ironies, because ostensibly the reason that laws exist is to protect the public welfare, right? That's why we have laws. To keep society working and moving forward. You can't murder your neighbor. You can't steal stuff without there being repercussions, legal repercussions. You can't do that, right? Laws are good. We need laws in order to have a properly functioning society. And if, in fact, the intention of generating a law is to protect the public good, then MDs should only be allowed to practice emergency medicine and surgery when it's absolutely necessary, because the facts are a stubborn thing, folks. The leading cause of death in the United States is MD-directed therapeutics. The pharmaceutical companies are so deeply embedded with the MD profession, it is so intimately corrupt, that they fix the books on their scientific research. They only publish the research that shows that the drug was effective. They never publish the research that says the drug isn't effective. They pay for their own research. It is one giant cluster, what. But it's existed for so long that everybody just takes it for granted. It's no different than slavery. Back in the antebellum South, it was just a given that blacks were property. They weren't people, they were property. And if you stood up against that, people would look down their nose at you, they'd laugh at you, they'd think you were crazy, you'd lost your mind. What are you talking about, blacks are really people? What are you talking about, naturopaths can practice medicine? What are you talking about, chiropractors should have the same rights as MDs? What are you talking about, acupuncture? Acupuncture, what's that? We can't allow that in this state, that's quackery. It's exactly the opposite of how it needs to be. And why is it the opposite of how it needs to be? Because of inertia. The MDs have, set this situation up 100 years ago, and here it is now. It has persisted. Nobody has challenged it. Nobody has risen up against it. Every once in a while, another state becomes legislated. If I ever win the lottery, I'm going to sue the American Medical Association for violating RICO laws. They have conspired to keep everybody but themselves out of the medical arena. They have conspired in my opinion, to keep everybody but themselves out of the medical arena. Now, this is a hypothetical supposition. This is my supposition. You give me a couple of $1 million, I'll prove it. But, this is what happens when monopolies are present. And when monopolies are present, everything goes to pot. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. And most states in the United States are completely in the dark. Most legislators don't even know how to pronounce naturopathic. They have no idea what the training of a naturopathic physician. They have no conceptual understanding of what it is whatsoever. And they have been completely hypnotized by Big Pharma and the MDs for the last 100 years. Oh, if it's not MD directed, then it's not valid medicine and it's quackery. When exactly the opposite is true. All of these drugs that have been approved by the FDA for your use that there are now class action lawsuits against, isn't that the very definition of quackery? I mean, shouldn't the MD profession been sanctioned? Shouldn't it have been more tightly regulated or scrutinized after the first drug killed somebody that the FDA approved? It should have been. If what we're involved with here is looking after the public safety, but we're not. What we're involved with here is maintaining the monopoly on medicine by Big Pharma. And it is here in your face right now. Slavery exists, ladies and gentlemen. It's right here. Medical slavery exists. Not allowing naturopathic physicians to practice medicine in all 50 states in the United States is an insult to humanity, to education, and to fairness. And it's time we stopped it. The thing about life is that if everybody agrees upon something for a long enough period of time, it becomes a cultural myth. Years ago, everybody agreed and was convinced that it was the Earth, that it was at the center of the solar system. And, the sun and all the planets revolved around the Earth. I mean, just look up in the sky. It's the sun that moves. And everybody was wrong. The sun is at the center of the solar system. It appears to move because of the relative motion of the Earth and the other planets around it. After that, well, holy smokes, everybody was convinced that the Earth was flat. Why did they think this? Because everybody thought that. Why did everybody think it? Because, just look out on the horizon. It's flat. You can't see there's no curve. You can't see a curve anywhere. It's flat. Well, everybody was wrong. After that, childhood labor, that's a valid economic necessity, and everybody was wrong. You can't have a valid, thriving economy unless you put the kids to work in sweatshops and pay them 50 cents a day. That's what's necessary to have a thriving economy, and everybody was wrong. And then after that, those women, they're not smart enough to vote, and everybody was wrong, and so forth and so on. And this is how it goes. Now, we have a very unique opportunity here at this moment in time, moving forward, to change cultural myths. And that's why Dr. Wallach, in his wisdom, decided to set Youngevity up as a network business. Because we are attempting to grow a grassroots coalition of the informed. We are intending to spread our message of health recovery, health support through science-based, clinically verified nutrition as far and as wide as we possibly can by generating a grassroots coalition. Why are we doing this? Because the front door of medicine is completely guarded and locked by the pharmaceutical industry and the MDs. For goodness sake. I can't even call myself a doctor. I can't even answer the phone and say, Dr. Glidden. Even if you're calling me up just to talk about the weather, not to talk about anything related to health, can't say Dr. Glidden because that's misleading. Well, no, it's not. But that's the state's position. Why is it the state's position? Because they're old-fashioned and they're out of it. And they're completely embedded in this myth that has no more bearing. Has no bearing. And it's ironic. Because the medical profession that has all the power and that calls all the shots is the leading cause of death. The medical profession that has all the power and calls all the shots has lost the war on cancer. The medical profession that has all the power and calls all the shots, while they have been caretaking our health, while they have been guarding this pasture, the wolves have gotten in. They've eaten everybody up. Our life expectancy is getting less and less. The United States of America is 52nd in the entire world in the longevity of its citizens. 52nd. That's according to the CIA. I think they've pretty much got a handle on statistics, don't you, the CIA? While the MDs are driving the bus, arthritis is escalating, kidney disease is escalating, autism is escalating, Alzheimer's has risen from obscurity to the 6th leading cause of death, etc., etc., etc. I mean, look around. The next time you go to church, the next time you go to the movies, the next time you go to a theater, the next time you're on the subway, the next time you're around a lot of people, just look around. Everybody's overweight. Everybody looks like crap. And just stop somebody who's in line in back of you waiting for something. Ask them how many prescription meds they're taking. And then multiply that by however many people you see in the room, and then you will have an inkling about how much gigantic money is at stake here. And that's the only reason this myth is persisting, because it's gigantic money. We can't fight them, folks. They have too much money to fight them. So we're going to encourage you and everybody else to ignore them. Stop going to your MD unless you're bleeding to death, unless you have a traumatic injury to your body, because that's their wheelhouse, that's their domain. Trauma care and surgery when it's necessary. But hey, remember, according to Harvard University, and I think they have pretty good statistics, Harvard, 51% of emergency room medical doctors are addicted to drugs, street drugs, or alcohol. So if you're unlucky enough to end up in the emergency room, demand that your attending physician be drug tested before you let him near you with a scalpel. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden. It's the luckiest day of your life. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Peter Glidden here, your steadfast advocate for health, talking to you today about all things relating to holistic medicine, science-based, clinically verified alternatives to drugs and surgery, things that you can use right now in order to support and promote the health of your body. Did you know that there are over 275 illnesses related to a calcium deficiency? Now, calcium is one of the 90 essential nutrients. And in the 90 essential nutrient family, the lion's share are minerals, right? We need 60 essential minerals, 60. That's a lot. 16 vitamins, 12 amino acids, and 2 essential fatty acids for a grand total of 90. Now, 60 minerals, man, that's 2/3 of your nutrient needs, and this is a big deal because the only place that we can get minerals is from the soil. If your spinach was grown in soil that doesn't have calcium in it, there's no calcium in it. If it's grown in soil that doesn't have phosphorus or zinc or selenium, there's no phosphorus, zinc, or selenium in the spinach or the carrot or the apple or the tomato or the cow's milk, for that matter. And, you know, what this means then is if you are not actively supplementing with a mineral supplement or, a vitamin supplement, an essential fatty acid supplement, an amino acid supplement, then it's only a matter of time until your body runs out of something, and then it starts to break down. Now, and that's the genesis of an illness. So you get an illness because your body runs out of calcium. So you get really painful menstrual cramps. That's a calcium deficiency. You get chronic low back pain. That's a calcium deficiency. You get ringing in the ears. It's a calcium deficiency. You get vertigo, positional vertigo. Hey, it's a calcium deficiency. High blood pressure, calcium deficiency most of the time. Restless legs at night in bed, calcium deficiency. Inability to fall asleep with anxious thoughts, calcium deficiency. Now, the problem here is that your MD, who has no training, no respect, no appreciation, and no understanding of medical nutrition, does not know this. Your medical doctor does not know what illnesses are caused by calcium deficiencies, and your medical doctor thinks you get all the calcium you need from your food. And, that's like thinking that illness is caused by evil spirits, right? Bad humors in the body. And what you need to do in order to fix your body is to bleed yourself. Oh, wait a minute. That's, in fact, what the MDs used to think. That's why one of the leading medical journals in the world is called The Lancet, because The Lancet was, for decades, the MD's treatment tool of choice. That's how George Washington, the father of our country, was killed. They bled him to death because that's what you did. And, when you have all the power, when you have all the control, you have a license to kill. I mean, just look at all the cancer patients. Someone goes to an MD. they deliver them an ineffective therapeutic. They know beforehand that it's not going to cure anything. They know beforehand that it's not going to cure anything. And yet they recommend the treatment wholeheartedly anyway, because that's all that they need to do, and they've got mouths to feed and mortgages to pay just like you do. So they're not going to turn away, a sick patient, even though the therapeutic that they're delivering is not going to work, and in many cases is going to hasten the person's death. And so somebody goes to an MD for cancer treatment. The cancer treatment destroys their immune system, causes cancer, shortens their lifespan, makes the last 6 months of their life a horrible mountain of misery. I know, because I watched my mother. This is what happened to my mother. My mother did not take my advice, and she went for chemotherapy. She had uterine cancer. They killed her. She didn't die from cancer. She died from chemotherapy. And it completely changed the last 2 years of her life. She was the sweetest, most optimistic, nice person to be around you will ever meet. God-fearing person, went to church every morning. Catholic church, every morning. Like clockwork. And after she got chemo, her personality completely changed. She turned into an angry, mean-spirited, depressed individual. Was not my mother. I don't know where my mother went, but the chemotherapy killed her. And, after she dies, does anything happen to the MDs? No. Is there any retribution? Is there any afterthought? Is there any second thoughts about it at all? Are there any criminal investigations? No. Because the MDs have us all hoodwinked to believe that their you-know-what doesn't stink, and that they're the only purveyors of medicine. Everybody else is a back-of-the-bus quack, and so when they deliver therapies, because they're king of the hill, and they kill people, they get a pass. And this is why the name of this radio show is called Fire Your MD Now, because I am as serious as a heart attack. The best possible thing you can do for your health is fire your MD, cancel your comprehensive medical insurance, buy catastrophic medical insurance instead, and take your 90 essential nutrients. Take one Healthy Start pack per 100 pounds of body weight per month and one bottle of selenium per 50 pounds of body weight per month. Eliminate the 10 bad foods, and you will be well on your way towards living a long and healthy life. And if you join us as a longevity business builder, you'll be on your way to living a long, healthy, wealthy life, and that beats a poke in the eye with a sharp stick. As promised, we're going right to the telephones now. Jim is calling in with a question about cholesterol. Hey, Jim, thanks for the call. You are live.
Hi, how are you today?
Thanks for calling. I'm good.
Fine. I'm with Longevity here in Springfield, Missouri, and I've run into a person recently. I think I'll be seeing many of in the future that has some cholesterol problems, blood pressure problems, and maybe leading towards diabetes, but they have evidently violent reactions to any products that might have shellfish closely associated with them. So I wonder your idea of where to start and where to go with the longevity products to help these people without going on the OsteoFX.
Okay, great. So the shellfish workaround for people who are allergic or have allergic reactions to shellfish in the calcium family of nutritional supplements is the Cal Toddy. It's a SuperLife product. It's under the, it's a longevity held company. But it's listed in the catalog as a SuperLife product, and it's called Cal Toddy, C-A-L-T-O-D-D-Y. It's a liquid calcium. It's got all the minerals in it. It's got the calcium in the nice absorbable formulation, but it doesn't have any shellfish, and that's a beautiful thing. Now, if you have ever experienced an arthritic person, someone with a diagnosis of arthritis, and what we are attempting to do, of course, is not to treat arthritis, but to support and promote the health of their bones and joints, then you would need glucogel. Glucogel also has shellfish in it. So what do? Well, in a case like that, we would switch out the glucogel for Z radical, Z like zebra radical, or Fucoid Z, F like Frank, U, C like Charlie, O-I, D like David, Fucoid Z. That's made by the Escape Company, which is also in the longevity family, and the Fucoid Z promotes stem cell generation and can, in fact, go a long way towards helping the body to make more cartilage, ostensibly. So that's what we do. I would also recommend, if people have a shellfish allergy and they're trying to support and promote the health of their bones and joints, and I know that's not this person's concern, but, I'm speaking this to the listening audience, that you just go to the supermarket and get some gelatin. some Knox gelatin and cook up some gelatin and eat it every day. That will go a long way towards, well, it will go half of the way towards giving your body the raw materials that it needs to make new cartilage. Now, a blood sugar issue, of course, was proven in 1957 to be a chromium deficiency. And then research after that backed up this notion that there are multiple minerals which are at play in the healthy metabolism of somebody's blood sugar. So in order to support and promote healthy blood sugar in anybody, whether they have a diagnosis of diabetes type 1 or type 2 or not, the recommendation is the healthy blood sugar pack. One healthy blood sugar pack per 100 pounds of body weight per month, plus elimination and avoidance of all of the 10 bad foods. Now, this is, again, an interesting thing to consider, because from our point of view, an allergy, now this person has a shellfish allergy, right? That's why they react negatively to shellfish. So where does the allergy come from? Does it come from thin air? No. Does this person have a shellfish allergy gene? No. Have they been cursed by God? Certainly not. Food allergies, or in allergies, environmental allergies for that matter, pollen, dust mites, horse dander, cat dander, or allergies to things like shellfish or strawberries. These are generated from a leaky gut, a leaky intestinal tract, so to speak. And the leaky intestinal tract is generated from egregious lack of nutrition and consistent consumption of wheat, barley, rye, and oats. So if you're dealing with anybody who has any type of an allergy whatsoever, that person really needs to be gluten-free. I mean, everybody needs to be gluten-free from our point of view. We're going to roll those dice and just make a broad brush recommendation that everybody not eat the stuff, because chances are it's giving you a problem and you don't know it. But if you have an allergy, then it's mandatory from my point of view. You have to avoid wheat, barley, rye, and oats if you have any type of an allergy whatsoever, because from our point of view, that's what's causing it, okay? Now, you can recover from a shellfish allergy. So if you, or a carrot allergy or a spinach allergy or a peanut allergy, and you don't need shots to do it. So what do? You discover the foods that you're allergic to. You stop eating them for maybe a year, maybe 2 years. You completely eliminate wheat, barley, rye, and oats from your body and give your body the healthy start pack that it is necessary, appropriate for its body weight. And then, 9 months down the road, 12 months down the road, 24 months down the road, eat a little bit of shellfish and see what happens. Chances are that the food allergy will disappear as your body recovers its health, and that's a beautiful thing. Now, last thing we want to talk about here in regards to your 3 topics is cholesterol. This is where we part company with the MDs. Quite frankly, we part company with them in many different arenas, but they've gotten the cholesterol thing completely wrong. And more doctors are publishing more and more books that are starting to come out and say what we've been telling people for the last 20 years. There's no relationship between cholesterol and heart disease. It does not exist. There's no such thing as high cholesterol. Well, there is. Like, if it's 500, 600, 700, that's high. That's too high. But I recommend for all of my patients that I treat in states where I am licensed, healthy cholesterol levels if you're a man of over 230, and if you're a Caucasian woman, especially if you're postmenopausal, over 300 is best. So I doubt very much that this person does in fact have a cholesterol problem. As a matter of fact, my recommendation is a diet that's high in cholesterol. I want to see most people eat eggs and butter and full-fat milk, full-fat cheese, full-fat yogurt, salt their food, right? And if you purchase a copy of my book, The MD Emperor Has No Clothes, there's a pretty lengthy reference in there that talks all about this cholesterol myth that has some, and it also points you to websites around the world that different people with different doctoral degrees have that kind of uncovers this whole myth that cholesterol is a big boogeyman. It's not. And, look, common sense is important. Even if you don't have any medical training, even if you don't know how to spell vitamin, just look at it this way. We've been taking cholesterol-lowering statin drugs to the tune of $25 billion a year in sales in the United States. $25 billion a year in sales, cholesterol-lowering statin drugs. They are the largest selling drug in the United States. For the last 25 years. Well, If they were effective, they lower cholesterol. They do. But if there was any relationship between cholesterol and heart disease, then the heart disease statistics should have changed. They haven't. Just as many people get heart disease now as they ever did. There's no relationship between cholesterol and heart disease. You've been played by the pharmaceutical industry. I don't know how to say it any clearer than that. Fire your MD now, and thank you, Jim, wherever you're from, Texas maybe, Missouri. I think you told me you're from Missouri. Thank you for doing what you do, for taking a stand for the health of your community. I'm talking to you about all things holistic. And holistic medicine, remember, is the best thing to happen to medicine since the invention of the sterile technique, for goodness sake, and nobody knows what the heck it is. No, most people can't even spell it. By the way, it's spelled with the W. Don't spell holistic H-O-L-I-S-T-I-C, or I'll come over and slap you. It's W-H-O-L-I-S-T-I-C in reference to the whole, right? That's what it refers to, the whole. The whole organism, the complete organism. When you eliminate the W, it makes it sound like you're talking about holes in the ground. And I think it was the MDs that advocated for the elimination of the W. So you know, whatever your MD tells you to do, do exactly the opposite, and you will be in good standing. Going right back to the phones, Julian is calling with a question about copper. Hey, Julian, thanks so much for the call. You are live.
Hey, Dr. Glidden. So I just actually became a distributor, and so I wanted to know about, did see, heard Dr. Wallach talk about the copper and the gray hair, and so I'm about to be 50, and gray hair is starting to come on me, and I want to see about getting rid of it. So, like in his, yes, it is. I have vanity, no doubt about it.
Yeah,
full head of hair. I've got
welcome to the club.
Yeah. So
I mean, have you seen my hair lately? I've got the longest hair of anybody in longevity, and I have only just begun, so I am with you 100%. So, look, here's the deal. Copper is necessary for the production of the pigment melanin. And melanin, of course, gives, your skin its color, gives your hair its color. Without melanin, your body can't produce pigment. That's why Michael Jackson turned into a white guy, because he ran out of melanin. His body couldn't produce any more pigment. Sometimes you'll see this in African Americans. It's really pretty pronounced. They'll have big white patches all over their body. That's a chronic copper deficiency. So, and there are a number of things related to copper deficiency, right? Gray hair is one of them. Lack of skin coloration is another. Spider veins, varicose veins, hemorrhoids. And last but not least, and we also have flabby tissue in the body, whether it's your face, your breasts, or your butt. Your skin tends to sag because your body also needs copper to produce the molecule elastin, which keeps tissues of your body elastic. How about that? And the final nail in the coffin, literally, is a dissecting aortic aneurysm. That's when the big artery coming off of your heart literally explodes like a balloon that pops. Now, if you look at a picture of Albert Einstein in, the last years of his life, he was a walking poster boy for copper deficiencies. He had jet white hair, he had saggy muscles in his skin face, and he had gigantic bags under his eyes, he had spider veins on his face, and he died from a dissecting aortic aneurysm. And, guaranteed, if Einstein had all of these problems, he also had hemorrhoids down to his knees, guaranteed. But, of course, they didn't talk about that in those days, not with celebrities like that. But, look, man, if Albert Einstein, arguably one of the smartest men on the planet in his day, didn't even know that he had a copper deficiency, what chance do you think your family and friends have? Well, the chance is you, Julian. You are their chance. You are their last best hope for getting this information into their thick skulls. So, congratulations for taking a step and becoming a longevity person. I'm counting on you, man, to make a big splash in your community because your community needs you. So, when it comes to copper, remember, we're holistic here, and we don't just give boatloads of copper. Because if you did, your body would lose other nutrients because there's a balance that has to happen here. So, Longevity, because it's led by Dr. Wallach, has some of the most sophisticated nutritional supplements in the world, and our recommendation for a copper supplement is the Ultimate Selenium, because the Ultimate Selenium is balanced with copper. If you take too much copper, your body loses selenium. If you take too much selenium, your body loses copper. How about that? So the recommendation here is the Healthy Start Pack, and 1 bottle per 100 pounds of body weight per month, and 1 bottle of selenium per 50 pounds of body weight per month, not to exceed more than 4 bottles a month. That'll give you all the copper that you need in a balanced recipe. And then if you eliminate the 10 bad foods from your diet, you're going to remarkably increase your body's ability to absorb this stuff, and life is going to get better and better and better, and so will your paycheck. Thanks for everything that you do, Julian. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your support. This is Fire Your MD Now. I'll see you tomorrow.